Do you ever have one of those days where you wonder, what am I even doing? What's the point of all this? What's my purpose? If you've been in that space lately, or if you've ever been in that space, you're not alone. And sometimes the harder you try to find the purpose, the more disconnected and dysregulated you feel. Welcome to the Building Resilience Podcast, episode 239. Healing is not the same as living. Why we need to plant, not just weed. Welcome to Building Resilience, a podcast where theory, practical strategies, and inspiring stories show you how to unlock your best life. I'm your host, Leah Davidson. As a certified life coach, speech-language pathologist, and nervous system resilience expert, it is my mission to teach you how to be more resilient to life's adversities. I will show you how to manage your mind, befriend your nervous system, process your emotions, and even eliminate stress. It's time to do more than just survive. It's time to thrive. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I hope that you're having a good summer. So recently, I ran a workshop on purpose, and then the same topic kept on coming up in client sessions. And when something shows up more than one time, I take it as a nudge to bring it here to the podcast. When we start talking about purpose, most people immediately think big things like, what's my mission? And that's totally valid. It can kind of also feel very overwhelming, though, especially to the nervous system. If you don't have some grand purpose figured out, it can be discouraging, like you're missing out on something or you're behind on something. So, in today's episode, I want to zoom out from the pressure and zoom in on the everyday. Now, we're going to use two simple metaphors: weeding versus planting and consuming versus creating. This is not all about finding one big answer. It's really about shifting how we engage with our lives, one small act at a time, and how those small acts really send powerful signals to your nervous system. So let's start here. When people say they want to find their purpose, it's usually not coming from this calm, grounded place. It's coming from stress. It's coming from dysregulation. At least that's usually what I've seen. It's coming from this hyper buzz of, I need to figure this out, or this hypo heaviness of, I'm stuck and nothing matters. So there's this intensity or this drive to find purpose, and that sends a nervous system signal. It sends a signal that something is off, that something is missing. You're missing meaning, you're missing direction, you're missing connection. And here's what you want to remember. When you are dysregulated, whether it's in team hyper or team hypo, you don't just lose access to clarity, you actually lose access to creativity and connection and self-compassion. You start looking for a purpose like it's something that you've left behind somewhere. Like there's this intense urge to find it. There's a puzzle that hasn't been solved, and there's a timeline that has to be solved by. When the search gets frantic like that, it can start to look a lot like over-functioning and over-efforting, or just checking out completely. Now, that doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means that your nervous system might be trying to protect you from the discomfort of not knowing. Now, I want to introduce you to a metaphor I used in my workshop and with my clients. It's about a garden. And yes, it's very ironic if you know me, because I do not have a green thumb. I am not a gardener at all. I grew up having to do a lot of weeding and watering when my parents gardened, picking the string beans and turning my nose up at the giant zucchinis that would end up growing. But I never got into gardening. Really, the closest I ever got into enjoying anything that grew was raspberries. My best friend Jenny used to have all these raspberry bushes in their yard, and they also had a pool. So we spent many summer days swimming in that pool and then taking breaks and eating all the raspberries. So it kind of feels like it was my garden, and I had tremendous success because we ate a lot of raspberries. Now, the funny thing is a while back now, I had dinner with this old friend and her parents. And her dad said he was always confused why his raspberry bushes were not growing any raspberries. Then he figured out we were eating them all. We were worse than like the squirrels and the raccoons. Anyhow, that's the closest thing I've ever been to a successful gardener, but I'm still going to use the gardening metaphor. So in this workshop I gave, I talked about how healing and growing can be like tending to a garden. Like any garden, there are two basic activities that we need to do. We need to weed and we need to plant. When we are focused on healing, we often spend a lot of time weeding. We pull out the old stories and the toxic patterns and the limiting beliefs, and we do the therapy and the journaling and the nervous system work. We clear the space. And I want to be super clear about this, that this is important work. Weeding is necessary. It's not the villain in the story. Without it, the things that we plant wouldn't have space to grow. But if we spend all our time weeding, we can start to feel like that's all there is. There's this maintenance and management, and self-improvement becomes this full-time job. After a while, your system is going to get tired because weeding is about what we don't want. It's about what we're trying to remove. It doesn't inherently provide meaning, it makes room for meaning. And that's where so many people start to feel like they're doing all the work, but no blooming. Now, I'm sure that's what my friend's dad felt like, all the work at maintaining the raspberry bushes, but no raspberries to eat. Well, for him at least, because Jenny and I had a ton. So sorry about that, Mr. Syme. So many of us spend a lot of time pulling weeds, but not planting flowers. And your nervous system notices that. We end up missing the real point because what gives us that spark, that feeling of aliveness and purpose is planting. It's showing up to create, to connect, to offer, to participate in life, not just analyze or clean up life. And the beautiful thing is, planting doesn't have to be big. You don't need a big master plan. You don't even need a 5-year vision. You just need now one action that says, this feels meaningful to me right now. So that could be writing something. It could be reaching out to somebody. It could be making a meal or painting a messy doodle or taking a walk with your camera and noticing the beauty all around you. So every act of planting sends your nervous system the message, we're safe enough to build something. We are allowed to enjoy life. We're not just surviving, we're growing. That is when you start to feel purpose, not as an idea, but as a felt sense. Because purpose isn't something you think your way into. It's something you participate and feel your way into. Now, let's bring in the second piece of the conversation, consuming versus creating. So just like weeding, consuming can kind of get a bad rap sometimes too. But consuming is, of course, necessary. We need the inspiration. We need knowledge. We need to take stories in and wisdom and support. But again, if that's all we do, our system stays passive. We take it in, take it in, take it in, but we never metabolize. We don't integrate. We don't digest. We don't process the information. And that can leave us feeling overwhelmed or frozen or stuck in this one more thing mode. Now, the nervous system doesn't regulate from what it knows, it regulates from what it does and feels. So the shift here is really asking, what's one thing I can create with what I've consumed? What's one way I can move from input to output, not for performance, but for embodiment? Meaning you're not doing something to impress or prove or achieve. You're doing it to feel it, to live it, to become it. It's not about how it looks to other people. It's about how it lands in your body and how it shifts in your inner world. So when you move from input to output, not for performance, but for embodiment, you're not regurgitating what you've learned just to get a gold star. You're expressing it in a way that helps you integrate it, to anchor it, to own it. Now, creating is active. It's forward moving. It tells your system we're safe enough to take up space, to show up, to try. And that's the gateway to regulation. This is where we also come back to planting because creating at any scale is essentially how we plant flowers. It's how we shift from only clearing the space through weeding to actually growing something. So planting and creating is how we tell our nervous system we're not just surviving, we're safe enough to enjoy, to participate, to build something new. Now let's zoom out, pull it all together. Weeding and consuming, they're important. But if they're the only tools you use, they can accidentally keep you stuck in dysregulation. This weeding only mode is like this chronic fixing, over efforting, always solving, team hyper. And consuming mode can be very, very passive, overwhelmed, shut down, frozen, team hypo. And neither is wrong, but they're incomplete on their own. Planting and creating are what bring us back to regulation. They help us enter and stay in and expand our zone of resilience. They invite your system into a kind of a different rhythm, one that includes action and play and expression and experimentation. And they really send the message, it's safe enough to try. to enjoy, to be present. It really isn't about hustle or productivity. It's about engagement. It's about building a life that feels lived from the inside out. Now, you don't need to have it all figured out, but you do need to start planting a few flowers because it's the planting that purpose will start to reveal itself. If you've been feeling lost or disconnected or like you're chasing something that never quite lands, I want you to pause and ask, am I mostly weeding right now? Am I mostly consuming? Where am I planting? Where am I creating? There is nothing wrong with pruning or learning, but your system also needs nourishment from action, from expression, from participation, from creation. So this week, I invite you to shift one thing. Create from what you've consumed. Plant instead of only pruning. Let purpose be something you experience, not something that you chase. And if you want some support doing it, then make sure you check out my Resilience Journal, which is available on Amazon, or come join us in the Nervous System Journaling Club. The links are in the show notes. I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Building Resilience podcast. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about managing stress, building resilience, and leading a more purposeful life, then make sure we're connected on Instagram and Facebook at Leah Davidson Life Coaching. You can also subscribe to my weekly newsletter at www.leahdavidsonlifecoaching.com/newsletter. Looking forward to connecting.